Okay, so I start with the introduction of myself. My name is M Jok. I'm a Malaysian and living in Sarawak. My ethnicity is Dayak Kenya. I belong to this society called Society for Rights of Indigenous People of Sarawak. Now, if you see this picture at my background here, this is the longhouse where I live. So I'm the Secretary General of SCRIPS, the short form for Society for Rights of Indigenous People is called SCRIPS. So by profession, I work as a full-time social activist. So what are we doing with our group here is I provide legal consultancy, lifelong community training, I call it, because it is something that we have to do for our whole life. It's not just today and tomorrow, but it's the whole of our life. So the present work we are doing is we do a lot of education on rights, leadership training, documentation of oral history, community mapping. And also we take the use of AI on issues like climate change, SDGs, and sustainable agriculture among the IPs. And that's my contact number and my email. So who are the indigenous communities in Borneo? And there are three kinds of indigenous peoples in Borneo that claim themselves to be indigenous anyway. So the first is the Dayaks. So I belong to the first group, the original people of Borneo. Island is called Dayak. So the Dayak have many ethnic group in Sarawak. And of course, they are by the hundreds throughout the whole island of Borneo, including those in Sabah, Kalimantan in Indonesia, and also some in Brunei. The second group are the Malays. They are mainly Muslim living at the coastal area of the island. And the others, they could be indigenous but embrace either the Islamic faith or Christian faith or any other their old practices like the Melanau, Vai, Kedayan, Merik, and few others. So they also claim themselves as indigenous of the island. So of course, the majority of people who are badly affected by the situation of today is the Dayak people. You know, one thing you remember about Dayak people in history, the whole world is we are the headhunters. But anyway, we are not like that anymore. Anyway. So these are the example of what we have done so far, the seminars, the workshop, and the training sessions that we have throughout the state of Sarawak. We move from all over the place. So to the longhouses, the village here, mainly the Dayak people in Sarawak, we live in the longhouses. So, you know, in the community of 100 families, 200 families, or even some even 20 families, but we live in a longhouse. So this is the situation that we are facing today. If you look at the challenges we face today, you know, the background I purposely put here is this is the situation we are in. So the first challenge number one we have is, of course, we lack of fund. It's not easy to move around, and because we do not have good roads, infrastructure. Sometimes we go by rivers. Sometimes we use the logging road, travel to the longhouses to the interior of Sarawak, and therefore, because of lack of funding, so sometimes we are basically we cannot move as much as we would like to. The second challenge we face is the people themselves are slow to understand, and not until they themselves are affected by the situation that we face on the ground. For example, when their territories or their land has been leased to big companies for oil palm plantation or for reforestation, and now the new one we're coming up is this carbon credit. So the challenge number three faced by the IPs in Borneo or in Sarawak is politicians and capitalists versus the indigenous people. So these are the situation that we're in at the present day. So we come up with a few strategies to help our people to overcome this kind of problem that faced by them on the ground. So I would say the strategy number one, which I call a desert storm strategy. Remember when US have war with in Iraq, they call it the desert storm, where they're just bombarding them. So the strategy means we would conduct seminars all over the place, forums, capacity building, a workshop, and training. So all over the state of Sarawak. And this, of course, we plan to have. Um, if we count how many seminars, forum, I think is now is we have conducted so many already. So we come up this kind of strategy to make people aware of their rights and also to make them aware of the situation that they are in. And of course, we will follow with by implementing the second strategy, that is by what I would say here is documentation of oral history, come community mapping. So it's very important for the IPs in Sarawak, especially the whole of Borneo, to document their oral history, because a lot of our histories are written by the our previous government or our previous colonial masters. So most of our histories were written by the West, by the Westerners. The way they understand us also very different. The way they look at our life, look at our culture, look at our adat. We call it here in Borneo. It's called adat. It's our whole way of life. It's totally different. So it's very important for us to help them to document their own oral history and how this will come up by helping them to do the community mapping. It's a kind of a claim over the territory where they have boundary between one another. Of course, the third one, actually we already agree, I will let you know after this, that our Adat Academy or the Sekolah Adat in Malay language or in Bahasa Malaysia, it's called Sekolah Adat or School of Life. So this is going to do is online training or online class. We really do it. We will use the models that being produced by ourselves. So these are basically what we are doing, preparing for the future of our people, especially with regard to AI, artificial intelligence, where we use a lot of things, in the oral history itself, in the training itself. We use whatever the technologies that we have. And of course, like for example, community mapping, even oral history, we help them to use a lot of use the handphone. A lot of them at least know how to use the handphone, which is good enough. Of course, when we use all these new gadgets or whatever it is, basically we also use that for our documentation of oral history, and we also use that for the community mapping. For example, use of the GPS, all this, how to use the new technology that for people who are making the map for us, like GIS. And of course, handphone, it has a lot of function nowadays. From A to Z, it has a lot of functions which are very useful for those in the village, even the old people, like regard to interviews, taking videos, simple thing like that. But it's very useful. And all this use of this artificial intelligence now with what we have in Malaysia and especially in Sarawak, we try to make use whatever we have for the good of our people, for the work we are doing for our people here. So if you see going down, this is how the documentation of oral history. We have written few books on documentation of oral history, but it was written in local language, in the Malay language. And this is how it looked like, in my village. This is my village. In the middle here, this is my village. So you look at this part on your left, above the map, you see the colored area These are all licensed. They call it here. They call it LPF, license for planted forests. And this yellow one is for oil palm. So if you look at all this, we have left nothing. So when we bring this to court, the government of Sarawak tried to use the area photograph to prove our existence on the ground. Then they come up with this area photograph. But again, the area photograph was taken between the year 1940 and 1960. The purpose of area photograph taken by the British was basically to find out where are all the IPs, because at that point in time we do not have road. They only travel through rivers. So our main mode of transportation was rivers. So they use this area photograph at least to find out where are all the communities, their localities. But nowadays it is being used by the present government to prove not only our existence on the ground, but to prove the size of our land. So it means the land and survey office, through this area photograph, know our land better than we ourselves, the landowners. So that is the problem that we face today. So that's why we must come up with this community mapping with a very concrete use of all the technologies we have, like drone, use of GPS, the use of GIS to draw the map, and also to do the work on the ground. So these are the same example of our territory, where since the early 18th centuries, or in the late 18th centuries, we have been occupied this place. So when we occupy the place, we move. This is the river. The green part here is the river. So we move up and down until the present day. We have been moving within our own territory for 5 times. So we go by uh, the leaders. So these are our leaders here. That they have pictures. There are some others before these three. They do not have the pictures. So these are the example that we use to prove our existence, pre-existence, before the colonial masters came to occupy our place, to colonize us. So you look at Sarawak. This is Sarawak. Below is Indonesia. Here is Brunei. So this is Malaysia. Here is Sarawak. Here is Sabah. So you look at the Sarawak itself, where I live. I live here somewhere in the seventh. Here is where our big dam, our Bakun Dam, is as big. The dam itself is as big as Singapore Island. No? So I live in here in the 7th division. So if you look at this map is basically we have done helping the communities. This is what they claim as their territories. This is what belong to each community. The different colors here, uh, only a few, not all of the community. There's some more, so many here. There are roughly in Sarawak. There are roughly about 600 indigenous communities live in the longhouses or even in the villages, based on the government census. So if you look at this is where we do. This is one community. These are 4 communities. You know, you just like a state, or just like a country in itself, where you have boundary with one another. And this has been practiced since time immemorial between the different communities of the IPs. So this is how it look like. There are many more here I put. So, but then this is what we claim as ours. But when it comes to the government of the day, this is where this map is produced by this famous BMF, Bruno Mensa Fund. So these are all the areas being licensed to the big companies in Malaysia, in Sarawak here, where they do timber concession and reforestation, and now is uh, oil palm. So we are all within these licenses belong to the company. So who know better, they can survive. Those who do not know about their rights, about that. They will just take it as it is. But it's a pity because some communities sooner or later there will be what do you call it? They might be removed from their present location or on the ground, because if they don't fight for the right, one day the companies who have more rights than them will simply ask them to move somewhere. So this is how it looked like the whole Sarawak. These are all the timber concession and with their licenses reforestation. So when they want to do this carbon trading, I believe they just simply use the same map, belong to the same company, will be given the same license to carbon trading. So it will look the same later on. So I think basically that's what I able to share with you. And I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share how we work on the ground, make use of whatever we have with regard to AI, and also looking forward to work more wisely and creatively with the companies that will come, basically that will come into our territory or our area. Because without knowing all our rights, it is very difficult to have dialogue or have discussion with these companies. Thank you very much.